Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this webinar organized by Johan Cruyff Institute. I am Gemma, your host for today's session. Putting yourself at the forefront of the management of a football club is already a great challenge in itself. Facing the global crisis like the one caused by the COVID-19 is not an easy task. The data and figures from the second half of the year are devastating. In March, it was decided to suspend the first and second divisions of La Liga due to the state of emergency, and a series of events have happened one after another. Today, we have a great opportunity to talk about how football has reacted to the pandemic with Ignacio Mas-Bagà, the CEO of Girona FC, and the new director of the Master in Football Business in partnership with Football Club Barcelona, offered by Johan Cruyff Institute. Whoever to explain how a club has been managed on a daily basis during this crisis and the measures that will have to be taken in the future, that someone who is on the front line. To all those who are working in the football industry and those who are planning to enter it, we invite you to participate in the debate by writing in the question tab located on the right side of the screen. If you have any technical issues, we will be happy to assist you through the chat tab, also located on the right of your screen. In addition to Ignazi, Osana Marginian, program advisor at Johan Cruyff Institute, will join us at the end of the session. She will be able to answer questions directly related to the master degree. So good afternoon to you both.
Good afternoon. Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone.
So Ignacio, let's go back to March, okay? How do you remember the moment when the suspension of La Liga was announced, and what did it mean for the clubs?
Well, yeah, first of all, we were planning to play in that weekend, but suddenly, the 9th of March, La Liga told us that the two next fixtures were going to be played behind closed doors. So that means that the competition wasn't affected in that moment, but that was another challenge because it was completely new for us, playing without fans. So we always think on the fans when we play a game. They are part of the game, of course. So, well, that was the instructions, and say, okay, let's face it. Of course, we are connected to the world, and we knew what was happening in China first, but then in Italy, and the news weren't very good. So 3 days later, because of an infection in Real Madrid, La Liga decided postponing those two fixtures instead of playing behind closed doors. So the uncertainty keep increasing in that moment. And 2 days later, the government in Spain declared the state of alarm. So a lot of new regulations were set on, labor regulations, and the lockdown of the country started that day on a Saturday, and then after 11 days, La Liga and the Spanish FA decide to postpone the competition until the state of alarm was over.
Mm-hmm. And during these 11 days, what did you do? Just wait for the news to come, or how did you react?
Well, yeah, it was everybody was at home, like all the industries. So with the help of the technology, we start working and having meetings. Just to know or to evaluate. Well, let's divide this in three work streams, okay? We start talking about the health and safety, about on regards the team and the rest of the staff, so the whole club. And what we did was isolating the whole facilities that we operate, just to detect in case of any infection, not to infect the rest of the employees. So isolating the facilities and the group of works, the different units, follow the new government recommendations, and encouraging everybody to telework from home. Then the second work stream was fans and community. What could you do for them It was a new situation. They were expecting watching us on TV and also attending to the games, and that was not possible at that moment. And we also were worried about all the groups that were in risk that we know according to the age. So we start developing a plan to be close to them. So it was difficult to be close to them because of the distance that we had and the restrictions that we had. But we start a process of detecting who were in risk and how we could help our fans and also our community. And then the other work stream was the economic, the financial impact that the COVID could have in our industry and in our club, because the uncertainty was obvious and we didn't know, but we had to work in different scenarios. So those were the three work streams that we start working, and that we're gonna talk about this during this webinar. But well, imagine the three work streams. Very broad work streams, but that we develop different work teams to work how we could measure and reduce the impact of the crisis.
Mm-hmm. As you said, Ignacio, everyone has had to adapt to the situation, but let's start by talking about the players and employees. How has this crisis affected the salaries of players and staff, and the renewal and transfer policy for the club?
Okay, let's talk a little bit about the revenue sources of a football club. As you all may know, well, the main revenue sources come from the TV rights, and then the other part of the revenues come from match day and player trading. So just to give you a sense, in Spain, when the state of alarm was declared and with the scenario of league cancellation that would affect to the more or less, depending on the first or second division, but the 26% of the competition that wasn't played in that moment, that would have an impact of around 29-30% decrease on the TV right revenues, and also adding the match day revenues would have an impact of 600 million euros for the Spanish football. So a big hole that put in a high risk to the Spanish clubs, taking into account that the main revenue sources are the TV rights is around 70% of the revenues of the clubs. So when you decrease the revenues, it's easy. You have to take into account the costs. How do you reduce those costs? And the main or the highest cost in a football club are the player salaries. But we also had another risk, not the cost that we could reduce, but also the player trading that we expected, that we forecast in our budget, that also was stopped because of the COVID. The transfer market was closed. So the first thing was talking to the players, because they are the most important part of this business, and we had meetings with them, with the captains, the board, and myself, the president, the sporting director. We had different calls with them, just to give them the sense and showing the numbers, because we have been always very transparent with them, and to make them feel involved of the business. And we share with them the impact. The impact for our club was around 23%, and not taking into account the player trading, profit from player trading. So 23%, and we said, okay, we need your help. It's true that the state, the government, put us the possibility of carrying out some furloughs according to the new law, but we prefer not using the law. We prefer reaching an agreement, because I mean, we need to be you need in that moment, because it was crucial for us. And in the part of the season, we were still fighting for promotion to the first division. So the deal was crucial for us, and that was the line of all conversations. So we defined different scenarios, saying, okay, we'll have to adjust the salaries according to the different scenarios, and we don't want to have any profit on that measure. I mean, we would adjust the reduction according to the reduction of the revenues. So that means if the league was cancelled, was the worst scenario, and the adjustment would be high, but I mean in parallel. Then the scenario of playing behind closed doors, and also the scenario of playing with fans at the stadiums, because I mean in that moment we didn't know what could happen. And they accepted. So it was very positive for us, because we could manage that impact, and telling to the shareholders that we had a plan. And that also allowed us not carrying out any furloughs to the rest of the staff. So we could present a proposal to the rest of the staff for a voluntary salary reduction of 3%. And was very happy to receive like a very positive response from the rest of the staff, because around the 90% of the club staff accepted that reduction, because I think that in a football club, especially in a sports club, especially, that passion also is filled by the staff, and they are very involved. So they accept that, and we could start working on a plan, but also giving to the shareholders the positive message that the impact was covered, more or less. Of course, we will have less revenues, and we will have losses that we didn't expect it, and mainly because the player trading wouldn't happen at least at 30th of June, that was planned to finish the competition. So I think that was a good plan. This is now new. It's not only for Girona. The rest of the clubs more or less adopted those kind of measures, but some of them had to apply the law with the furloughs, and some of them had to apply salary reductions in different amounts.
Mm-hmm. As you said, the TV rights are one of the most important sources of income for clubs. You said 70%. I would like you to explain us how have those contracts been affected?
Sorry, can you repeat again?
Yes. How have those contracts with the TV broadcasters have been affected?
Okay, well, in Spain since 2015, you don't have a contract with the broadcaster, because the clubs cede their rights to La Liga, because they say La Liga sells in a collective package all the rights of the clubs, and we divide the revenues according to different values. So, well, it was a risk because I've been known that part of those contracts said that if the competition is stopped more than, I think it was 2 months, the broadcaster had the right to refund the money, or at least part of it. And the clubs received the money every month or every 2 months, the money from the TV rights. So the uncertainty was, are we going to get paid according to the calendar? Because that would affect very seriously to our cash flow and our cash flow plan for a football club. And the difference with other industries is very easy to plan, because we know when we are going to get the money, mainly from TV rights, because it's a contract that is for 3 years, and it depends on the category that you play. So in that sense, you can plan. The risk was that the subscribers to those platforms from those broadcasters were saying, okay, I don't want to pay. I'm not watching football, so why I have to pay that package during those months? So it was a challenge also for the broadcasters, but it will have an impact for the broadcasters because they have a plan. They have different contents during the calendar, but you know, the Olympic Games were cancelled, and other competitions that were planned on their schedule during the year. So that will have an impact to the broadcasters that very difficultly they will recover. But in terms of the contracts, I know that there is a part of the TV packages that are sold to the bars and restaurants that could not open during the state of during this period where we start playing. So that will have an impact for sure for the clubs and for the broadcasters. But the rest of the contracts will work, and I mean they will follow their obligations, and the broadcasters are going to pay to the clubs. And why? Because we made all those efforts, and we developed with La Liga so strict protocols that the government finally accepted. Just because we want to finalize all competitions, not only for the revenues, but also for the sense of the competition. We cannot finalize any competition and say who is the winner, who is the runners-up, and who are relegated, because that wouldn't be fair, because the competitions have to finish. So that was the first aim of the clubs and La Liga, and well, the proof is that we are playing without fans, but at least the contracts on the TV rights are working because people are watching us on TV.
Mm-hmm. Ignacio, I know that it has been a lot of talking about the return of the football to action. Some people has criticized the way they come back to. I mean, they say, okay, there are no tests for the citizens, for anybody, but football players will have access to these tests and to a lot of tests, because they have to repeat the testing, the tests, no. So, but in the other hand, you see that the first match of La Liga was seen by 4 million people on TV. So it means that there is a lot of interest in football. I would like you to explain from the inside what did you think about the return? I mean, because I don't know if the players were happy to have all these tests, and they were afraid of coming back so soon. But I mean, the debate is there.
Yeah, I think the debate was on the streets, on the media, because it's true. When there's a crisis, you start thinking yourself, is all that necessary? Is football necessary? Well, I think that entertainment is necessary. We need to get entertained. And the proof is that the OTTs, content on demand, has increased a lot. And when we weren't playing, we start producing creative and new content for kids, because they couldn't go to school, and those who have kids was a great challenge to manage kids and teleworking at home. So we thought about our community, our fans, and said, okay, we need to entertain these people, our families, our kids, and we create new content from our physical trainer, just to keep you fit at home, content from our nutritionist, new recipes, healthy food, and also from our marketing department, content for kids. But our main reason, our main purpose is football. So we knew that the protocols were so strict and weren't very popular at the beginning. Let me say that the test that we start doing for testing if we have an infection on COVID were carried out on a moment that there wasn't any problem of providing tests to the hospitals. I mean, that was the real situation. It's true that the plan was developed before when the crisis was there, but the government was monitoring that process. So I think it was a problem of maybe image and pressure from media and from part of the politicians in Spain. But the fear was there also for the players and the rest of the staff, because first of all, it's health and safety, and we knew that, and we wanted to be very careful about this. So we have doctors in our staff, and we all had to be aligned with that protocols. The protocols were so strict, and we knew that if we all follow those protocols, we will be able to finalize those the competition. That's our first aim. So I said before, we are carrying out some tests. All the people that are involved in a match day have to carry out tests before 48 hours before a game. So imagine how many tests we are doing. It's true, but we also know that football is part of the engine on the economics of this country, and the proof is there. The audiences are there, and people want the football back. And I want also to say that we are not disconnected to the world. We have been participating and collaborating with our community very closely. We have developed fundraising campaigns with for our hospital, and the donations have been used to buy equipment for the hospitals, and especially for the COVID. So I think that it's compatible, and unfortunately the crisis in the hospitals has decreased. I mean that they had found a balance, and they can manage the situation now. It's true that some infections have appeared now in our country, and we will see. But I mean, we don't want to be more. We just want to be part of the entertainment plan that the people needs to have after this lockdown.
Mm-hmm. So as you said, we will see what is next. But how are you preparing for the return of the fans to the stadiums?
Well, we have been working with La Liga as well, because to answer the main question for our fans, when are we going to go back to Montilivi, to Camp Nou? When? And the question is difficult, because it doesn't depend on us, on our own protocols. It depends on the government, and also depends on the local government. No, not only in Spanish government, also to the local Catalan government. And we have developed a lot of protocols to protect health and safety of our fans. We're talking about the distance between fans, but also the percentage of the capacity of the stadiums that would be reduced, as well as it happens to the theaters, cinemas, and other facilities. So we are developing a plan to allocate the fans according to the regulations, and also giving the opportunity to the fans to attend to the games. But we know that we have to be fair and offer them in an equal way how they can attend to the games. And also we need to spread the entrance time to the stadium to protect them. They have to wear masks, and well, it's all about internal politics, protocols, and technology. Because without technology, that process would be very, very hard to manage.
Mm-hmm. And I guess it's going to be a big discussion with all the fans, because there will be, everybody will will want to be on the stadium from the minute one, but I'm sure that you will manage the best way.
Well, that's a good point. Sorry, Gemma. Yeah, because we also have to make them feel comfortable and safe at our stadium, because people still have fear. When you go in the streets, you know that there's people not wearing masks, and now in Catalonia it's compulsory, but there's people that have no fear and also are not behaving well according to the others. But also we need to establish and to certify that this is a COVID-free stadium, and clubs have to follow strictly all the recommendations to make the fans feel safe, because it's not only about, okay, you can come. No, we want to convince them that we need them at the stadiums, because they are part of the entertainment, they are part of the show, and they are part of the game, and the players need them, because when you play home, you need the passion of your fans that will help you to score a goal.
So everybody is saying that the new normal will be very different from what we have known until now. So how will the football industry change?
Well, it's a good question, because the new normal, when has begun? I mean, now we're in a situation that there's a lot of uncertainty about what about the player trading, because it's part of the business, and because of the crisis, if you don't have money in the bank, it's going to be very difficult to afford those signings. The banks now are lending money, but for the football industry hasn't been easy to find funding, especially in Spain. There are funds in the States and in Europe that they're willing to lend money to the football clubs, but in Spain, because of the bad history that we have, has been difficult, and the finance departments of the clubs have been struggling how to manage the debt that they have. So the new normality, it's difficult to say, but what I was saying before, we need to build a trust image to our fans, because we have to convince them to come as soon as possible to the stadiums. Of course, we're going to follow the regulations, but I think that we have to focus on how we build that proximity to our fans. That, for example, in our club is one of our values, because we are a small club. How we still build this proximity when you have social distancing. So that's the challenge. I mean, I think we have done, and other clubs have done, doing interviews with Instagram and other platforms that are a bit more informal and then more close to the fans, because they feel well, they make the interviews at home, and you see their homes, and sometimes you see their dogs and family behind. So it happens on the meetings. It had happened to me in a shareholders meeting, in a board meeting, because now I think relations, it's paradoxical, but relations have been different now, because we open our homes through those webcams during those webinars, calls, and meetings. So the new normality is difficult to say, but I think that the football industry is working hard to recover, and I think in the following 2 years, everything will be as before.
Mm-hmm. I heard the president of La Liga saying that yesterday, and I said we will see if 2 years will be time enough to get back to the normal that we know. Stefania, we have the first question coming from, is Stefania Maglio. She says, what do you think about fans criticizing crowd noises and JIC supporters earlier in June when La Liga resumed? Would you have implemented another solution on technology?
I didn't understand the first part of the question.
Yeah, she says that, what do you think about fans criticizing crowd noises and CIG supporters early in June when La Liga resumed? You know that you can hear the noise of the crowd during the
games.
Football match. Yes, it looks like some fans criticize the noise.
You mean on TV, on the games?
Yes.
That is a studio noise.
Exactly. And if you have implemented another solution, or
no, I think it's not a bad idea. We also were planning to have that noise, and we have done this in our games with some recorded noise that we have from our fans during the games, because the players asked to have that, because that encouraged them, as I told you. I think that when you're watching a game, you have the option to choose if you wanted to hear that noise or not. So it depends on you. I think it's an option, and as always, if you can choose, it depends on you. For me, yesterday I was watching the game against FC Barcelona and Espanyol, and the noise was so real.
Yes,
you feel the fans, and for those who have been in Camp Nou, there was that noise. I mean, the fans shout like this. So I think that the environment that creates, it's good. But if you think that it's not real, that's fake, okay, choose the other option, and you will adjust the ball.
Okay. Look, Hashim, he says, as a graduate student who took Girona FC as a chosen club to do his full research, including visiting the club during the Master in Football business with us, Hashim says that it took my attention that to the Spanish government's intention to ban betting companies from sponsoring football clubs. What is the impact on such possible law on Spanish clubs?
Well, this morning I read the news, and we were a bit more optimistic during this confinement because the first draft of the law was saying that they wouldn't ban the sponsoring of the betting companies and the shirts of the teams, of the football clubs, sorry, and they would ban only the advertising during, I think it was before 8 p.m. But finally, the law that is likely to be approved says that they will ban all the advertising, sponsoring, and they only will be able to have advertising on late night, I don't know, at 2 a.m. or something like this. So it will have a great impact. In Spain, 50% of the clubs have a betting company on their as a main sponsor, and why? Because they are the ones who are paying more, because it's a very profitable business. But also not only in Spain, but in the rest of countries in Europe, the betting companies have a great impact. It was banned in Italy last year. In the States, you cannot advertise betting companies in sports. We will see, but it has a great impact to our budgets. Our main sponsor is a betting company at this moment. The contract expires this season. We are working on different alternatives, but with this new law, it will be hard and struggling to recover that part of revenues that we expected.
Eduardo says, if you get promoted to La Liga, will the club be able to spend money in the transfer session, or will it be more loans, free transfers, and players' trades with other teams?
Well, I think that loans will be the main part of the transfer market, at least in Spain, because as said, it will be difficult to afford a great signings, and especially for small clubs. So loans would be one of the ways of new signings, and our club will afford this market depending on the salary cap, because as you know, in Spain we have a salary cap that depends on the revenues, And as the revenues will decrease because of the COVID, we will have restrictions on that part, and we will have to adjust our budget to try to be in a positive salary cap to afford new signings.
Okay, I see now another question related to the betting companies sponsoring some clubs as Girona. And Gerard is asking about that, so you already answered the question. Thanks, Gerard, for your question. So Roy says, not every season ticket holder can come to the stadium. How do you deal with the season ticket holders who wants to visit the stadium? It's up to the frames of the 1.5 meter distance, or do they get a discount? How do you manage this situation?
Well, they will pay for what they attend. I mean, we're going to be fair, and we want to develop a platform where they can log in and confirm that they want to be part of our club for being season ticket holders for next season, and of course they will pay according to the attendance they have, at least the possibility attendance that they have. If they can come because we have allocate a seat for them, they will pay for it. I mean, we want to be fair on that part.
Mm-hmm. Cesar is putting on the table another great topic about the salary of the players. He says that nowadays it's very common to see players with high salaries with a recent tendency. Will it change in future? How can this pandemic affect to the club planification?
Well, I think that the salaries of the players are sizable to the size of the business. I mean, if the business decreases, all costs have to decrease, adjust, because otherwise we cannot pay. So why a football player has so high wages? Well, I mean, they don't have high wages. Of course, I would like to be a football player because it's big money, but they earn that money because they generate that money. So if we subscribe to OTT or free pay TV platform, or we buy shirts, or we buy tickets, or we buy season ticket holders, is because we think that's appealing for us. So if we pay that, it's because they generate that. So they are having a salaries according to the business. Maybe in the coming years, if that business is reduced, they will have to reduce their salaries. But our forecast is that in 2 years, that will come back to normality. So I think that in a long term, that would not be affected. In the short term, has been affected, as I said. Mm-hmm. Most of the clubs have dealt salary reduction to the players, and they have understand this. So what's going to happen next season, we don't know. It depends on the evolution of the virus and when the people are going to be able to come back to the stadiums.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Matthew Boutin says, looking ahead with a potential lengthy period without full stadiums, how do you plan to innovate in terms of fan engagement in match and non-match days?
Well, it's a good part to talk about this, because our marketing team and fan engagement team are working on that. We are limited on regards to content, because the content is owned by the broadcasters, so we cannot talk about the content, because fortunately the broadcasting is going to be there. So the thing is that, how do we engage with those fans through our social media to be part of the show? What we have done, and it has been very well received by our players, is that on the LED and on the scoreboard, the fans appear there because they have sent some videos and shouting and screaming for goals, and when we score a goal we put that, so that helps. Other clubs have done this. Mönchengladbach has like the faces, all the fans in in the stands. Other teams have built like big screens around the stadium with the image of some fans. I think that is good examples of creative ways to engage with the fans. And I think that new ideas will come, but we are in this line. I mean, we want to be close to them. It's not easy in that moment, but I think that the club that better engage with the fans will make a big step forward.
Tobias is asking if will this pandemic affect directly to the youth development of the clubs, and how?
Well, is the restrictions according to the borders will affect for sure for those clubs that sign foreign players, but for the rest of the youth development, I think it won't affect, because mainly the clubs have, especially in the youth years, have local players. So I think that won't affect to the player development.
Mm-hmm. Maximilian, he will be one of our students in the master starting from September. Welcome,
Great.
Maximilian.
Welcome.
He is asking, what do you think of the role of the director of sport or general managers in the football clubs? And do they have financial and HR tasks as well, or rather than football-related tasks?
Well, it depends on the club, but usually the clubs are divided by the business area and the football area, and depending on the club, the CEO has more tasks related to the business or the strategy. And my example is that we have a sporting director that defines the strategy in the football side, but I have to approve that budget, and I have to present the numbers and the strategy, the full strategy, to the boards of directors and also to the owners. So it depends a little bit on the profile of the club, but maybe it's more necessary to have finance knowledge than sports knowledge. Let's say football knowledge. I mean, I'm not the scouting. I'm not going to sign a player watching videos. I mean, that's the side of the sporting director, the professional.
Mm-hmm. Griffin, the question is, many companies and so football clubs were not prepared for COVID. I mean, anybody was. Should football club build extra cash reserves for the future? Is it possible?
Nobody was prepared. I mean, who was prepared? I mean, he has a crystal ball and knows about the future. No, I think the clubs have done a great job reducing the debt and operating like normal businesses, because many years ago they weren't like operating like companies. They were operating like something different, and that wasn't fair, neither real for the rest of industries. So I think that things are doing well, but saying that we have to have more reserves and more cash in our bank, it depends on the structure of the club. I mean, at least you have to give visibility to the owners or shareholders. It depends on the kind of the club. For FC Barcelona, that the club belongs to the members is different, but I think that being prudent is always a safe way, but a safe position. Sorry, but you also have to be aggressive and look for opportunities, because also for the COVID, clubs will have opportunities.
Mm-hmm. And Gustavo is saying that I think you said already that no, you have no answer for these questions, this question. But anyway, do you know about the estimated date when people will be able to come back to the stadiums? An estimated date?
Yeah. Hopefully before, but what I've been talking with my colleagues, the first forecast was around by the end of the year, December, January. But it looks like we're going to have fans earlier, and we are working in this line because we want to have them back earlier, much earlier, because for us December, January is too late.
Okay, look, Stefan says, when you consider working for a football club, does COVID also open opportunities for new profiles that a professional football club would consider hiring?
Well, we could talk about digital business transformation and innovation because that came a bit late to the football clubs because we didn't have money for investing for technology, and that's a mistake, of course. So I've been a bit late on that side, but I think technology is crucial because you have to be prepared for another confinement. We don't know what's going to happen, but a lot of processes we're doing manual, and we need to have the fans on our stadium to change the database from the season ticket holders. So when we start digitalizing the processes, you are more prepared for that crisis moment. So maybe the digital part is one of the profiles that clubs will need if they are not doing now. But I mean, it's one of the key profiles that I would suggest.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Ignacio. So if it's okay for you, just let's talk about the master now. Because starting in September, you will face a new challenge in your professional career, but becoming the director of the Master in Football Business in partnership with Football Club Barcelona, offered by Johan Cruyff Institute. My question is, how will you tackle it?
Well, when I've been collaborating many years with the Cruyff Institute, and for me, it has been always very easy to work with the Cruyff Institute. So when the Cruyff Institute made me the approach of being the director of the master, well, for me it was a yes. It was very easy to say yes, because I really think that being close to the academic industry is very positive for the professionals of an industry, because we have a lot to learn from the students, because they come very fresh with new ideas and usually with from different industries. So I think that the football needs profiles from different industries, but also the specialization in a master in football business. I think it's going to be an asset, because when you are in a recruiting process and you see that profile has a specialization in football business, it makes a difference, and there's a lot of competition in those processes, and that can make a difference. It's true that in our club, and that's a coincidence, we have different people that has studied in the Cruyff Institute, and I knew many years ago the reputation of the institute. But it's not only about the Cruyff Institute, and sorry for saying that, but it's because of a specialization. I mean, it's important, because a lot of people has degrees and masters, and that's great. I mean, because you have to be this different from the others. But when you see that someone has a master in the football business and is working and wants or is willing to enter in this industry, I mean, for a recruiting process, it's very positive. Of course, it's not only about a name or a title. We really think that this master will help you to understand the industry, because it's different to the other industries, because you will understand how this operates. What's the organizations, federations, confederations, leagues, all the legal aspects that it has, the different regulations, and then how a football club operates. Okay, and the different finance side, the fans, technology, innovation, the history of our industry, how it works, all the politics. I think the football, the TV rights, I think it's important to have this view, because I mean, it's so specific that you need to learn how it works. And finally, with the partnership of FC Barcelona, being in Barcelona, I think well, is a great opportunity, the idea came from the same Johan Cruyff, no, former player from FC Barcelona and coach, and well, you all know who was him. He wanted this that partnership to be possible, because I think FC Barcelona is one of the top clubs in the world, and we will be able to learn how they operate, the inside of the club. And of course, it's not only about winning, and there are other clubs, smaller clubs, that also have very distinguishing elements that that we will learn about. And that's why we also incorporate a very important side of part of the master, that are the visits to different markets. Not only in Spain, we'll visit also different countries to understand how it works. How are the clubs in the different countries? How are the leagues? And what are they doing different from the rest of the clubs? So I think it's a very rich master, because it's a trip from through the different areas that you need to know if you want to enter to this industry.
We have some questions already related to the master. The first one from Carlos. He says that what would be your recommendation for the student who finished already the master and is looking for a job, and the COVID-19 context has been more difficult to get a job in the industry?
Yeah, it's difficult, but you have to be part of the solution. I mean, you have to present to the club that you could be part of the solution. And how? We've talked about fan engagement. We have talked about innovation. We have talked about the finance of the clubs, the financing of the clubs. So I think that there are three areas that if you have finished the master and you now have the knowledge, I think it would be a good opportunity that your approach to the clubs would be around these areas. How you could help, how you could be part of the solution and helping the clubs to recover from the COVID.
Mm-hmm. We can see now the program on the screen, the different models that you already talk about, but there will be also some new professors and experts of the industry that you know quite well. If you can tell us a little bit about them.
Yeah. Well, the first model will be taught by Sergi Vieta, the introduction to the football business. He's a friend of mine, but he has been my boss for many years, so I've learned a lot about him. He introduced me to that industry, and I think has a very broad view of this industry, because he started in KPMG in the football unit, so the finance part and the advisory part as a consultant to football clubs. And then he started working for agencies. He worked for MediaPro for those who you don't know, was one of the TV rights holder, the biggest TV right holder in Spain in regards football rights. But it is also a company that produces cinema and TV shows. And he was specialized in football, and he was running the football unit in MediaPro, and I was working with him developing friendly tours and football friendly games, international sponsoring activation for football clubs. Then he moved to Granada as a CEO, and then now he's working for Sport5 agency. So I think he has worked for agencies, he has worked for a big four, he has worked for a club, and he has a clear view of what this industry works like. And then another colleague that I had the opportunity to know in MediaPro is Martijn Bax. He's one of the he works for Media Pro, in the TV rights area, and he has been leading with different partners about the TV rights since the beginning. So much before the TV rights from La Liga were sold on a package collectively. So he had to deal with the clubs. He has been dealing also with the international sales, and he has helped La Liga also to build a very consistent product of a TV product. So I think that's very important for to understand what has happened with the TV rights, not only about the platforms, but also about the product.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So now I think that Osana can come back on stage, because I would like to start talking properly about the master. I don't know if we've lost Osana for a while. It's a pity, because okay, Osana, welcome back.
Sorry.
Okay, no problem. It's the internet. It's great sometimes and not so great sometimes. So, Osana, we were saying that for those who are seriously considering registering for the master, if you can tell us a little bit about requirements and admission process, please.
Yes, of course. And hello, everyone, again. I hope you enjoyed the webinar so far. So for admission requirements in general, we are seeking students that will have a strong and positive impact in the football business and in the community, and will use this education to contribute to building the future of football, of course. Specifically, we want to see proven experience in football business or in other relevant businesses with a minimum of 2-3 years. Or we also accept candidates who have a strong business academic background. And in addition, we also welcome to athletes and former athletes to apply for this program. Of course, all documentation will be considered, transcripts, recommendation letters, different essays that you will have to submit. So for the application process, it's quite straightforward. We would ask you to complete the online application form on our website. There is a 140 euros fee, which is non-refundable. And then submit all the documents that you see listed here. There are going to be 3 essays, which the academic department will consider on your view of the global football business, the situation of the football business in your country, and how you will be able to contribute towards improving the football business in your country. This should be around a maximum of 500 words each. In addition, we will need your resume, a cover letter, 2 letters of recommendation. This can be either both professional, both academic, or one professional, one academic, and the official transcripts from your university. I will confirm as soon as we receive everything, and you will have an interview through Skype with the academic director. And in about a week or so, you will find out if you have been admitted or not to the program.
And yeah, please.
Okay, so for the price of the program, the tuition fee is 18,600. As I said, there's application fee of 140 euros, and the enrollment fee needs to be paid as soon as you receive admission to the program is 1,250 euros. There are some discounts for alumni and members of our partners. There is no specific deadline, but of course, registration is open until all seats are taken, and we recommend to apply as soon as possible, also just to make sure you have everything set starting September, because as you know, this program is delivered 1 week per month in Barcelona during specific dates. Payment in installments is also available, but you can contact me for that information. You can see here a feedback from Marcos Pellegrin, who says the program definitely helped me to expand my professional network, consolidate my knowledge, and organize my ideas. Okay, we can move forward to our career services. So we act as a bridge between candidates and the corporate sports sector. Different organizations, companies, football clubs reach out to us when looking for sports-minded candidates, and we also announce job openings and internships bi-weekly throughout our channels. We are a partner of Global Sports Jobs, of I Work in Sport Career Fair, which is held every year in Lausanne. And we also organize career fairs exclusively for our students and alumni here in Barcelona. When you finish the program, you will receive access to the Alumni Cruyff Institute platform. This is a platform which allows our students and community to connect with each other, create new links, share experiences, work on different projects together, startups. And it's a great tool for you if you want to start a project with someone or you're looking for different connections in different territories. There's also a learning area in this platform in which you'll find different resources like webinars or access pre-recorded academic sessions that you can use. So specifically for this program, it has many networking opportunities. Given the diversity of the students, the faculty and professionals involved, and also participation at different seminars and different clubs throughout Spain. There's going to be a study trip in Amsterdam, part of the program, also in Germany and in the UK. So people who finish this master, as for career opportunities, you will be able to work and apply for jobs in areas such as football club governing bodies, football facilities, sports consultancy, marketing, sponsorship, journalism. You have many options. And you can see that 85% who graduated from this program are working in the sports industry. 20% are working in federations, associations, and leagues, almost 14% in clubs, and almost 40% in agencies and companies. Some examples of our alumni so far. So we have Christina, who is a commercial director at the World Football Summit. Daria, also at the World Football Summit, executive associate. Marcos Pellegrin, who is the country manager for La Liga in South Africa. Then we have Juan, who is the founder and product manager at Scorpion Academy, and Tiago, who works for MediaPro and DAZN as a football commentator.
Okay, thank you, Osana. I think that by knowing where the former students of this master are currently working is a good indicator when making the decision to take the program. So I think that we don't have any more questions coming. So thank you guys for your time. I think we've covered all the topics we wanted. Everything is clear, so we can leave it here. And of course, if someone has any inquiry about the master, Osana will be available, and you can call or email her, and she will be in contact with you as soon as possible. So Ignacio, thank you very much. Very nice talk with you about the industry and your role in the football industry.
Thank you guys, and thank you all the community that joined into the webinar. I hope that they found helpful, and yes, please talk to Osana if you need more information regarding the master. Okay. Thank you, Osana, also, and thanks everyone for participating. We invite you to stay connected as always, and we will come back with new sessions soon, and you will find all the information in our social media channels. So take care and see you soon.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.